Well, I think the starting point for the film was this sort of realization that for the longest time we have been filming men fighting with each other rather than men clinging, holding on to each other. And I knew I wanted to make something about masculinity. I just didn't know yet that I wanted to do it through the prism of a young friendship, and how we live in a society, in a culture that in which I guess intimacy and vulnerability are not qualities linked to masculinity. And I think that when I read about these boys, I felt strongly connected to them because me, myself, I think at that moment in time started to fear intimacy within my friendships with other men. And I decided to use that young friendship to really speak about masculinity.
Isn't it interesting that female friendships are allowed physical contact and closeness and intimacy and hugging, and yet even in Europe, I'm talking as an American, but even in Europe, male friendships aren't allowed that kind of freedom?
I mean, I think it's just about a way we are conditioned to look, and eventually, and I think there is also this responsibility of what we put on screens. You know, we have been just seeing much more intimacy between women than we have seen it between men. Usually when it comes to men, we focus on the competitivity, the independence, sometimes even the brutalness. Yeah. We rarely focus on the tenderness, the softness, the connection. Yeah. And I think what these 13-year-old boys remind us of when we really listen to them is actually how deep their desire for that connection is. But then, and I don't know if it's luck or destiny, I was taking a train from Antwerp to Ghent. I was listening to music, and as I look next to me, I see this young angel talking to his friends, his eyes on fire. I don't hear what he says because I had music in, but I felt that there was something to this person that would be very right for this part. And I thought I'm going to regret if I don't go up to him and ask him to do a casting. So I did. I asked him if he was interested, and he was. And he came together in one of the groups because we saw these boys always in groups just to be able to do workshops with them. And he came in a group together with Gustav, the boy who plays Remy. The two of them had never seen each other before. They had never acted before. But there was just this chemistry between them that, I mean, that was there. And with some people you have it, and with others you don't. And it was just beautiful to witness how these boys gravitated towards each other and how they helped each other to this performance that they eventually arrive at in this film.
So they became close friends.
Yes.
And that relationship between the land, the flowers, and the boys, is that a connection that you wanted us to make?
Yeah, I think, when I then had this idea for the young friendship, one of the first images that came to mind was the image of two boys running in between a flower field. And I think unconsciously, because it's a key memory from my own childhood, I grew up on the Flemish countryside, very close to a flower farm, and so I feel like I had captured that image from that moment in my own life. And then when I started to dissect it and interpret it more, I thought it's also a beautiful metaphor for childhood. These two boys, lost in that color book, running as free as possible in that childhood summer. And even when I thought further of it, the flower is also this beautiful symbol to represent fragility, the fragility of life.
In your mind, can Leo ever heal?
I mean, that's a very good question, and I sense there's a hopefulness in the way you ask it, which I think is beautiful, that you have the hope of healing. I think, trauma is something that writes its score on the body. Some of us find the power to heal, and I strongly hope that for everyone.
There are a lot of scenes in the movie where there is not much dialogue. Why did you decide to do it that way? And can you feel the pain through some of those scenes?
I mean, I have to say that I wanted to become a dancer before I wanted to become a filmmaker. So dance has always been my first passion. And although I continued, the journey of film, I think this dancer inside of me has always stayed very present. And so when I write, I think I very much write from the point of view of a choreographer. I write in movement, intention of movement, sound, music, and very little, I think, in dialogue. It's only much later, I think, at the end of the process, that dialogue comes in and that we make it into a film, because, I mean, otherwise it would stay a dance performance.
Do you still cry when you watch this movie?
I have never watched the movie again since the last day in post-synchronization.
Really?
Yes, because I had seen it at that moment in time. I mean, I have spent 4 years with it. I had seen every single frame and detail of it. So for me, at this moment in time, it's not a film. It's a collection of details. And so I think it will take me some time, and I don't know how much time, to really see the film. But the power of it is that I'm now experiencing the film through the eyes of those who see it. So I think I'm celebrating it through the audience right now, and will maybe revisit it later.